Hi, welcome back. Beginning of week 2, and today's focus of the day is going to be on the brain. And before we jump into the PowerPoint, I'd like to just demonstrate Dan Siegel's hand model of the brain, just as a different way to introduce this very complex system in today's focus of the day. And so at the base is the survival network. And so this is the highly unconscious portion of the brain. This is what is activated when our survival responses come online, as we talked about Friday. And this starts to get formed in utero. And so there is a lot of unconsciousness that comes into our being as it relates to how our survival network supports the brain function. Up here into the middle section, this is the limbic portion of the brain, and this is where all of our emotional memory, our emotional regulation, all of that is stored here, and it's protected if we pull our thumb over by the amygdala. The amygdala is our appraisal system, and we'll explore that in just a little bit further in just a moment. Up here is our prefrontal cortex. And so when we have everything online perfectly, as we would refer to as it being in our resilience zone, we're able to really face all life's challenges using all of the information available to us in our brain. Now, if for some reason we're activated and our amygdala identifies a threat, we may flip our lid. And when we flip our lid, what happens is our thought process all comes offline, and we're only able to bring everything back online by using our sensational awareness, which satisfies the need of the amygdala, which then allows the brain to come back online and allows all of the information to flow bidirectional as it should. And so now let's jump into the PowerPoint slides to just understand a little bit more of how that works. And so just a quick PowerPoint visual of what I covered. Down at the bottom in the blue is that survival instinctual network that carries out all of our survival responses. And then here in the middle is the limbic emotional network, and then the green represented by the thinking network. Now we're going to dig in a little bit more around the amygdala because of its role as the appraisal system. Now, what's really important to understand as more research is done in the space of neuroscience is that our brain processes 11 million pieces of data a second and is only consciously aware of 40 of those. And so the value of CRM is allowing us to really start to tap into this new communication channel that is our body, that is communicating so much information about our experiences. And so much of that, as we learned in survival responses, is unconscious. And so understanding the role of the amygdala, understanding that it generalizes information, it takes that 11 million pieces of data and categorizes it and puts it in buckets so that it can sound an alarm and signal the rest of the nervous system if there is a perceived threat. And again, I want to highlight that perceived threat because it's highly individualized. The amygdala creates templates from highly charged emotional memories, which we'll explore memories in just a moment. And what's also very important to understand is that the amygdala also processes all of that data based on past experiences, and that it has a very strong negativity bias. And so the reason that is because humans are designed for survival. We were designed to live in a time much more simple than we have now. And so we are finding that that negativity bias is actively in play to ensure our survival as our bodies and our minds go through our day-to-day and have experiences that, again, may be perceived as a threat. Now, one element of the brain that really processes explicit memories is the hippocampus. And I raise this just because when the amygdala is highly stimulated and finds itself activated, we do see that stress hormones are released, which interfere with the functioning of this particular portion of the brain, which is why at times we may find ourselves unable to remember specific details of an experience. awareness. It's because that chemical reaction we talked about when we explored stress and trauma has taken effect and has an impact on memory. And so as we look and talk about memory, there are actually two types of memory. The first memory that we just mentioned is explicit memory. This is the process of consciously learning and storing information like facts and events. The best example I can give is riding a bike. It's accessed by our intention. If we've learned how to ride a bike, there is a sense of self and time that comes with the ability to process explicit memory, which develops between 18 and 24 months of age. So riding a bike is an example I like to use because that's typically done after 2 years of age. And while we can all remember how to ride a bike later in life, we may not remember the exact time and day that we did, but there's a general sense of that being maybe I was around 6 years old or 7 years old. And so that's an explicit memory. The second type of memory is implicit. And implicit memories, they include body memory that includes sensations associated with stressful or traumatic memories, but they're also associated with good memories. As I mentioned in that survival network of the brain, some of it is developed before birth. It does not have a sense of self and time, and it can be set off out of the blue. An example I like to give here that keeps us in, I hope, more pleasant or neutral memories is the smell of burning firewood in the winter. When I walk out or when I imagine that scent, I notice there's a lot of memories that come, or sensations, I should say, that show up when I bring that type of a thought to mind. And so that would be another an example of implicit. And so one thing to note as we explore learning how to read our bodies, at times unpleasant memory capsules can show up and overwhelm the nervous system. They could be visual images, they could be sounds, or as I just mentioned, it could be a smell. And if any of these happen, either in our practices or just in your day-to-day experiences, we ask that you move far away from the unpleasant image, if that's what it is, and with sound and smell to move towards imagining a more pleasant or soothing sound or a more pleasant or soothing smell. And if that doesn't work, we suggest trying a help now strategy, which is what we're going to focus on our awareness moment practices today. So similar to last week, there are a variety of them. And so I will see you in those awareness moments to see what works best for you.